Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 17:15, it's just 5:15 in the afternoon, in the evening actually, depending on how you see it. Right now, right here, right today, I'm going to say that it's cold outside. It's really cold, it's kind of irritatingly cold. My hair is getting out of hand, so probably gonna do a haircut of that, probably. And I probably need a shave as well when looking at it here in the video camera. Probably something that I should have considered before actually recording, but unfortunately I'm on kind of a tight schedule today, so it's going to be one of them one-hit wonders. So just bear with me as we're moving into the video, yeah? Because there probably be some things that aren't as great as they should be, because I'm having all of my notes on my phone instead of having them written down on the computer when it comes to the Saturday news recap, because that's what it is today, mates. It's the SNR, it's a Saturday news recap today, yeah? The audience is engaged, people are sitting on their seats, people are looking through their feeds, constantly just refreshing the site on YouTube on the subscriber page and saying, when is the Saturday news recap coming out? Because I want my business news. I want to have a recap what has happened over the last week, the events, the important things. Give me. But as I said, I'm on kind of a tight schedule today because I'm going to clean my entire apartment, going to clean my, well, I'm going to do the dishes and laundry and stuff like that. And I'm working with a product that's standing over there that you hopefully and probably can't see. No, you can't. Okay, good. That's probably going to be unveiled, that's how you say it, yeah, next week. But without any further ado, mates, let's get into it. And before, or well, rather, we need to put some disclaimers on this video, probably. All just to set the stage and build some context. So, first piece of information that you need to take into consideration is that you shouldn't state anything online that you, well, can't stand for in the future, because it probably can be used against you in the future. And as I said, it probably will be used against you in the future at some point in time, no matter how good you phrased it, no matter how much context actually matters. People can take it out of context, yeah? So just try to imagine that and try to put yourself in the mindset that, well, context actually matters. And this is not going to be a political video of any sort, of any form, but it probably will have some political inclinations because, well, it's just the nature of the, well, the beast, the nature of the news that we're going to discuss here, unfortunately. And I'm not taking a political stand. I might talk about my own opinions on it, yeah, but it's not connected to any political view as far as I know, at least. What more was there? Yeah, I'm a Swede as well, living in Sweden. Yeah, I've been briefly in France, but mainly lived in Sweden and, you know, grown up here and been raised in Sweden. So it might be that my views on some of the issues and some of the topics that we're going to take up and discuss here today that you probably already had deciphered from the title, which is why you probably know why I'm hedging so much in before, is why I'm having these opinions about the things we're going to discuss. Now, it's not going to be as of an upbeat conversation today as it has been the other weeks. Not that I'm at a 110% of my energy level at all times either, that's not what I'm saying, but this is probably going to be quite a heavy discussion to have, because I am going to talk about the US and some unfortunate incidents that has happened there over the course of, well, forever. No, but for a very long time. And it has happened more than once, and I don't know really how to phrase this due to YouTube's new, you know, algorithm that's not happy with these kinds of terminologies. But no matter, it's a controversial topic, but it's a topic nonetheless that needs to be raised and discussed. So what am I talking about? Well, while searching through the different business topics and business news over the last week, I came into contact with the Florida, let's say the Florida school incident involving guns and unaliving people. That's probably the best way of phrasing it. No matter how much I cringe by saying that, and other people will as well by hearing it, that's probably how I'm going to refer to it, the Florida incident. So the Florida incident was quite an extensive one, involving guns and political issues from both parts, at least as I have understood it. And one big firm, the BlackRock Incorporated, is considering offering investors the chance to not invest in gun firms, and is asking those firms how they monitor safe use of weapons, and when it then comes to guns, because this will have quite a big, what you would say, quite a big backlash or quite a good impact on their, well, their users and their consumers, the ones who's actually owning the guns, after this, well, piece of news that this big corporation has gone out and actually pressured their users and tried to pressure the gun laws around this issue, based on several, well, incidents like the ones in Florida, the Florida incident. Many of those has happened, and I can just say that, well, first of all, how can this happen? It's crazy, stupid that it could happen. And second of all, that it has happened once is one time too many, and it hasn't not only happened once, it's happened several times over the last, well, year. Even the last year, it has happened more than once, more than twice, I imagine. Or I think I can recall just on the top of my head here, and that's well, it's just so weird that incidents like this can happen involving guns in schools. It's just weird. And I have to offer my opinion about the entire case, because as I read as well, in connection to this news piece, well, the president of the United States has gone out and said that, or made a suggestion that, well, teachers should be armed for the purposes of fending off these kind of problems, to defend students, which I think is, well, I'm a Swede, so yet again I'm going to say, well, can't we just take all the weapons away? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Make it really hard to actually acquire weapons and not make it a basic human right, so to say, to own a weapon? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be easier? Yeah? Because if you imagine, if you have one lunatic, they're probably gonna, and this is the argument that is raised in many of the articles that has happened over the week, is that, well, if we have a person, a lunatic, a straight up idiot, yeah, that has no inclination and no empathy and so on and so forth, a sociopath, basically, that doesn't care about other people. One of those people are probably going to find ways of executing their ideas and their crazy thoughts anyway, no matter if they have a gun or not. And sure, that's unfortunately true. But just imagine the industrialized way that they can go about executing these, these actions now that they have guns, and automatic ones at that. They can spread this, action a lot easier and a lot faster than they would if they wouldn't have access to weapons, in my opinion. And yet again, I live in Sweden, so put the context, we don't have a gun law that makes people allowed to own guns here, at least as far as I know about, if you don't have it for a hunting license or anything like that. And even then, it's a big deal about, are they actually allowed to have them or not? But in the US, it's a different country, it's a different culture. I understand that it's a different culture, and I'm not a part of the US community, and I haven't been there. I haven't been there once in New York for like a week, which is not at all to say that, well, I know about it, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. And I've seen movies and stuff, but that's not at all, hopefully not at all representative of what it's like there. But I've had friends who've gone there abroad for their abroad studies, and they've come back with this idea that, well, it's actually kind of weird that people actually have guns in their homes, because if there's one lunatic, they can probably exercise their opinions of what they think is the right thing to do, and so on and so forth, which is horrendous and inhumane in so many different ways, easier than if they wouldn't have guns. And I would tend to agree with that statement. So is it the best way to combat this problem by giving teachers guns? Probably not, in my opinion. And as far as I've read, that is kind of the consensus as well, even though there seems to be a very vocal minority that says, yes, give them weapons, because that will solve everything, which I tend to not agree with at all. But anyway, getting back to the issue at hand, the news piece is considering, well, that there is this big corporation, BlackRock Incorporated, who is governing 4 billion or trillion pounds or something. It's a ludicrous amount like that. Who's also a consultant to many governments around the world when it comes to different political and economical issues, talking about funds and pensions and so on and so forth. So they have quite a great influence in the world. And just the fact that they have started actually actively going in and saying that, well, you shouldn't be involved in guns and you shouldn't invest in gun companies, it's a good thing, in my opinion, yeah, yet again. And this is all going to be tainted by my opinion all over. So just imagine and remember that I'm going to be biased towards this because, well, it's my opinion, right? So I'm going to be biased about the news piece. But I think that it's a very good thing that this is happening, that they're going in and saying that, well, wait a minute, there's guns here, we should probably restrict the access as much as we can, and if we now need to give people weapons, we should do it in a way that's as restrictive and as safe as possible. Which I would tend to agree with. Well, my opinion is you take away all of them, take away the armies, and have, you know, prosperity on Earth, but that's probably... yeah, that's not feasible, unfortunately, probably. But anyway, and then Trump, or sorry, yeah, well, their president came in and said something along the lines that, and I'm paraphrasing here because I do not actually remember the exact quote, but something along the lines that guns in video games is making people more violent, and that there are going to be, probably rather going to be actions taken against this measurement so that, well, they're taken away, essentially, right? Or in a great extent taken away, kind of a censorship to games. And of course, the backlash of this news piece has been that, well, people are saying that if you take GTA, for instance, you have so many other things than weapons that it's a bad influence on children. Now, if video games influence people at all, which is not a debate that I'm gonna take because I have a clear opinion on it, and so do many other people. But basically the idea is that the president went in and said that, well, I think we should take away the guns because that's a bad influence. And people responded to this by saying that, aren't there so many more things that are bad influence, if they are a bad influence to begin with, and if they actually can influence, that you need to take away as well? And if you do that, on contrast, can people actually learn through video games, or can they not? Because it's a learning process to dealing with these kind of things through games, and some games do that. Some games do that really well, some games do it really poorly. So perhaps that's the way you should look at that instead: the execution, the ethics and morality connected to weapons and so on and so forth in video games. Maybe that's the point you should take and actually look into, instead of just saying that, well, we should take away weapons from games. Now, is it good or bad? Yet again, I'm not going to state my opinion on that because that's only going to stir up things that I can't handle. Yet again, probably can't stand for it if someone is making a good argument either for or against either, because I don't have that strong of an opinion on it, or strong of a stance on it, so to say. But that has been one of the big things over this week, as I understood it. Many people are talking about the Florida incidents, yet again referring to other incidents of a similar kind that have happened over the world and in the United States. And then this huge giant of a company, or a corporation or a conglomerate, or whatever you want to call it, right, that has this £4 trillion investment that they're working with, portfolio that they're working with, who has actively come out and stated that, well, you should probably not invest in this kind of behavior, because if you think about it like corporate social responsibility, you can see it as a social burden for society that weapon corporations actually exist, and that the BlackRock Incorporated is actually doing a good thing for corporate social sustainability. Sorry, it's it's lots of terminology there. Now they're throwing out the idea that, well, for corporate social sustainability, we should actually urge people not to invest in this kind of stuff because that's probably better for the entire society overall. Now, that was the end of that, and my opinions on that is probably very clear. I don't like guns. I don't think it's a good thing at all. Period. Which is a stance that I probably will be able to actually defend in the future if anybody asks me. But just keep in mind that this is the 3rd of March 2018, so if you ask me in 2 or 3 years, maybe my opinion has changed. Yes, just keep that in mind. Yet again, setting the stage, building context, and so on and so forth. On a much cheerier note then, we have been shown the Galaxy S9. Yeah, the Galaxy S9 Edge, something along those lines. The new flagship prototype, or the new flagship phone from Samsung in, Korea. A much happier note, yeah, much happier note. And to all of you out there, you're probably aware that Samsung is kind of my brand. I was huge in Apple before, and now I've kind of changed to Samsung because I thought it were better. It's just my opinion, yeah, my take on it. I've had plenty of people who's gone from Apple to Samsung and then gone back to Apple, and similarly the other way around, going from Samsung to Apple and then back to Samsung again, because it's down to a personal preference, I assume. But since I'm having this phone right now and I'm really happy with it, and I bought it because of the Edge function, again, not sponsored, anything like that, no. to make that clear. But I'm very happy about that they're launching the new phone, and the thing that they're launching it with the camera, that it's actually, you can change the altitude on it and the focus on it so that it's actually resembling a DSLR a bit more. Oh, all days of the week. I'll be all over that in April when I get my hands on it, or when I probably will get my hands on it. So that was everything for me for this week. Unfortunate, the kind of debate, or rather the reason for why the debate about guns and stuff like that has been raised, well, for all of eternity, or for all of history. It's always bad reasons for why, or not bad reasons, but unfortunate reasons for why this debate needs to be raised to begin with. But I think that this debate that's been taken up over the last week has a very positive corporate social sustainability perspective, and can actually help a sustainable social view in society if this goes their way with BlackRock Incorporated. I'm also thinking that, well, there are some interesting things about the president stating that guns in video games are bad influences, and then I would argue that, well, there are so many other things, or other people as well would argue that there's so many other things that are a bad influence on video games. So does it really matter if you take away the guns? Isn't there so much other things you need to take away? And finally, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Galaxy Edge Plus, something along those lines. It's a long, complicated name. I mean, I gotta give Apple that. The iPhone X, that's a good name. It's easy to understand. The Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, something with the new camera, double edge lens, something. It's so long, I can't even remember it. But that was everything for me today, mates. Have a nice one. I'll see you tomorrow.